People whispered about him long before she ever learned the truth. The CEO who married a quiet single dad, never knowing he once commanded an elite special forces unit. But the real shock wasn't who he used to be, it was what he was about to do to save the woman he loved. Chapter 1 began long before the danger, long before his past resurfaced, long before the world realized that the gentle father who packed school lunches and walked with a slight limp was once the kind of man countries trusted with impossible missions. Alex Carter lived simply. He worked at a small mechanic shop, kept to himself, and focused every breath on raising his 8-year-old daughter, Emily. She was bright, full of questions, and the single reason he kept going after the tragedy that took his wife years earlier. He never spoke of his past, not to neighbors, not to friends, because the moment he left the shadows of special forces, he promised himself he would never return. He traded covert missions for bedtime stories, military silence for the soft laughter of a child. It was a life he didn't know how to deserve, but he tried anyway. Claire Donovan, on the other hand, was a storm wrapped in elegance. At 32, she was one of the youngest tech CEOs in the country, running a global company with poise and relentless determination. People admired her, feared her brilliance, and often misunderstood her heart. Behind the designer suits and impossible schedules was a woman whose success came at the cost of personal connection. She didn't trust easily, didn't slow down, didn't let anyone close, not after a lifetime of betrayal from people who claimed to care. But the world didn't know that. They just saw the success, not the loneliness. Their worlds collided in the most ordinary way, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Claire's car stalled outside the mechanic shop where Alex worked. She stepped out, heels sinking into a puddle, rain streaking her hair, frustration building with every second. Alex walked out the moment he saw her struggling. He held an umbrella over her without a word, and she looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something warm cut through the cold edges of her day. He repaired her car in 15 minutes. She thanked him. He nodded, quiet and unreadable. She left, but something about his calmness settled inside her like a forgotten melody. Claire wasn't used to people who didn't try to impress her. She wasn't used to eyes that noticed everything yet demanded nothing. She returned the next week, this time on purpose. She told herself the car felt off, but the truth was simpler. She wanted to see him again. Alex didn't question it. He just worked, answered her curious questions with gentle humor, and eventually told her about Emily, a topic that softened his entire face. One visit became many. Coffee turned into conversations. Claire found herself laughing in ways she hadn't in years. Alex began to trust her with parts of himself he thought were lost forever. He never told her about his past, not yet. One evening, Emily clung shyly to Claire's hand during a dinner that felt like a family forming in real time. Claire felt something shift, an ache she didn't know she'd been carrying melted in the warmth of their small home. She wasn't just falling for Alex, she was falling for the life he built. Months passed, and love moved through them like a quiet river, steady, deep, and unstoppable. But love, as Alex knew too well, always had a price. Claire's company suddenly faced a threat, a hostile takeover driven by powerful investors who wanted her out. It was ruthless, calculated, and personal. Alex saw her break for the first time, saw her fierce confidence crack, saw the woman who carried the weight of a corporation and a lifetime of expectations fall silent at the dinner table. He reached for her hand. "We'll get through this," he said softly. She believed him, not knowing why his certainty felt like armor. The attacks grew worse. Claire's emails were hacked. Her home security system glitched. Her car was tampered with, subtle things, easy to dismiss, but Alex recognized patterns he had spent a lifetime studying. Someone wasn't just trying to take her company, someone was trying to corner her. He watched, quietly calculating, slipping into instincts he thought he buried. He strengthened the house security. Changed their routines. Walked Emily to school every day instead of letting her take the bus. Claire noticed his vigilance, but he brushed it off as concern. Then came the night everything changed. A break-in, silent. Precise. Coordinated. Alex reacted faster than Claire could blink. One moment they were watching a movie, the next, he had pulled Emily behind him, placed a hand on Claire's shoulder, and moved with a fluid, deadly awareness that no mechanic should possess. He disarmed a masked intruder in seconds, too quickly, too expertly. Claire froze, staring at the men she thought she knew, the men she loved. Alex didn't hesitate. He neutralized the threat, protected his family, and called in contacts she never knew he had. Then he finally looked at her. "I need to tell you who I really am." That moment cracked the world open, not with fear, but with truth. Chapter 2 begins with the tension of a secret no one expected and a danger far greater than Claire ever imagined. It began with the question Claire whispered into the dim light of their living room. "Who are you, Alex?" He took a long breath, the breath of a man who had run from his past for too long. He sat beside her, Emily already asleep in her room after he reassured her the loud noises were just bad guys Daddy scared away. He didn't sugarcoat it. "I was an elite special forces commander," he said, voice steady but filled with regret. "Black operations. Counter-terror. Missions that never made the news. I was good at it, too good. I left because I wanted a life where my daughter didn't have to wonder if I was coming home." Claire stared at him, heart caught between fear and awe. She realized the quiet strength she loved wasn't ordinary, it came from a lifetime of surviving the unimaginable. She touched his hand. "You should have told me," she whispered. "I wanted to," he replied. "But I didn't want you to see the man I used to be. I wanted to be worthy of the life we were building." Her eyes softened. "You are." But the danger was far from over. The intruders weren't thieves. They were hired operatives sent by the same group threatening her company. The deeper they dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't a business takeover, it was a criminal organization trying to gain control of Claire's security software empire, and Alex was the only one who understood how dangerous they truly were. Over the next weeks, he worked in the shadows, contacting old teammates, using old codes, leveraging old loyalties. What he uncovered was darker than Claire expected. The people targeting her were planning a large-scale breach that could put millions at risk. She wasn't just a CEO, she was the only obstacle standing in their way. Together, they formed a plan, Alex with his tactical brilliance, Claire with her strategic mind. For the first time in her life, she wasn't fighting alone. For the first time in his, Alex wasn't fighting for a mission, he was fighting for his family. The final confrontation came in a deserted warehouse, where Claire's stolen servers were hidden. Alex moved like the commander he once was, silent, controlled, unstoppable. Claire backed him with remote security overrides, disabling systems at critical moments. They were a perfect team, strength and intelligence, courage and strategy, heart and fire. By dawn, the criminal syndicate was dismantled. Evidence secured. Claire's company saved. Lives protected. Alex stood in the morning light, exhausted but alive, watching Claire walk toward him with pride shining in her eyes. She cupped his face in her hands. "You didn't lose your old life," she whispered. "You just found a new purpose." "And what's that?" he asked softly. "Us," she said. "Protecting us. Building us. Living for us." They married quietly, surrounded by a small circle of trusted friends, with Emily throwing flower petals and announcing it was the best day ever. The world saw a powerful CEO marrying a humble single dad. They didn't know the truth. He wasn't just a single dad. He was a former elite special forces commander who chose love over war, peace over power, family over everything. And Claire, once a lonely leader, found not just a husband, but a guardian, a partner, and a home she never knew she needed. The story ends not with danger, but with hope, that even the strongest hearts can heal, that even the darkest pasts can lead to the brightest futures, and that love, simple, quiet, unstoppable, can rewrite every destiny.